This video is for educational and entertainment only. My goal is to inform others about the true horrors of manufacturing, selling, and being addicted to methamphetamines for over 20 years, and only getting caught once 5 years ago. I've been clean from all substances ever since that day. I cannot confirm or deny that any of these stories ever happened or that I have made over 25,000 drug deals since the mid-90s. Maybe I'm just a guy with a very good imagination who can make up incredible stories with amazing continuity throughout many dates and timelines. It took me 5 years for me to get a clear head in order to even think about these stories without them triggering me or urging me to return to the life I led for so many years. By viewing the contents of this video or any other video of mine, you agree to not attempt or recreate anything seen or heard while viewing them. I am not confessing to any acts stated in this video. The contents of this video should not be treated as factual or a confession. All names have been changed to protect the innocent and the guilty. Enjoy.
I've got a story for you today all the way back from 2009. So I was still living in my parents' basement. Me, my wife, 2 daughters, and my son, who was 3 years old at the time, and my German Shepherd. And this was after I lost my house and my job and my bike shop, and I thought that selling meth was the best way to make money, which was stupid, but it's still a very interesting story. I still had a lot of bicycles, and I still had all my tools left over from the bike shop, and one of the bikes that I had was a 1946 BF Goodrich made by Schwinn. It was more of a cruiser or a balloon tire bike is basically what it was. And on the front of it, I put a motor on it. It was a bike bug, they called it, made by Tanaka, and it was like from the mid-70s. And it's one of them where you pull a lever and the motor engages on the front wheel, and it makes the wheel go around. So it made the bike go around 23 miles an hour. Of course, I didn't have my driver's license, but that didn't slow me down. But when I went collecting, I used it for when I went collecting money from people that owed me money. I would take the bike bug because right in front of me on the middle of the bar of the bicycle, I had a toddler seat that was mounted where I could strap my son Kevin into it. And then on the handlebars, I had 2 bar ends from a mountain bike that were clamped onto the handlebars, which provided 2 perfect handles for him to hang on to. So I put him in a seat, hanging on the handles, and I would pedal down the road and get the bike bug started, and away we'd go. We'd go cruising all over town and around. He really loved riding it, and then I had to stop at my buddy Ron's house because he owed me $75. So we pull up, and they're all happy to see me, of course, because I'm the dope man, and they all like to see Kevin because he's so cute. So I lift him up out of the seat. I set him down on the ground, and we both walk inside. We go in the living room, and we're sitting there, and we're talking to Ron and his girlfriend has 2 pugs. And they are the ugliest fucking dogs I've ever seen, but Kevin likes them. So I asked Troy's girlfriend if the ugly little fuckers bite, and she said no, they won't bite him. So then Kevin's playing with one of the 4-legged trolls, and all of a sudden one of the little fuckers jumps up and bites him in the face. He's got a big nasty cut on his lip, and his lip is gaping open, and instantly I know that he's going to need stitches. There's blood squirting everywhere, and at that point in time, seeing my son injured like that, I just wanted to stomp on that fucking pug's head as hard as I could until it was literally flat as a fucking pancake. Because when I was a kid growing up in the 70s, we hunted squirrels and chipmunks with our slingshots and shit, and when we had to put them out of their misery, we would injure them first and then just stomp on their fucking heads. Now today, I can't even hurt a fly. If I accidentally hit a gopher crossing the road, I just can't even deal with it because I feel so fucking bad about it. But on this day, when that pug bit Kevin, I literally wanted to stomp on it and stomp on it and stomp on it. So we got some rags and cold water and ice, and we somehow stopped the bleeding somewhat. I remember while all this crazy shit was going down, I started to stomp on the ground with my foot, trying to get the ugly little ankle-biting motherfucker to try and bite me so I could punt that fucker across the room. I was curious of what it would sound like when I booted it. Ron's girlfriend grabbed that little fucker right before he was going to bite me. I'm pretty sure she saved his life. So anyways, we got Kevin in the car. We drove to the emergency room, and luckily the surgeon in the emergency room that was on call that day worked full-time at the plastic surgeon. So she did a really, really good job. So Then I bring him home after that, and my wife is waiting for me, and she is fucking pissed and scared and shocked. And my mom, who lives upstairs, she is pissed. And words can't describe how bad I felt and how bad they felt. So, anyways, our main concern was if the dog had rabies shots. So I called my buddy Ron, and he asked his girlfriend, and she said, "Yeah, they have rabies shots." I said, "Well, do you have proof of that?" She said, "Yeah, she does." Well, we waited for that proof. We waited for the papers. She had to call her veterinarian, and they were dragging their feet on this, so it was taking a couple days. And my mom, who is Kevin's grandmother, was getting really fucking pissed. She was worried that she wanted the papers, and I said they're getting them. I said they're getting them, you know. So the next morning I wake up, my mom says, "If you don't get the papers today, I'm gonna call the police and let them handle it." She said, "If somebody gets bit by a dog, the police should know about it." I said, "Don't worry, I'm going there right now." I jumped on my bicycle and I cruised down to Ron's house. So I go to the door. He lets me in. I said, "Ron, I gotta have them fucking papers on or my mom is gonna call the police, and then they're gonna come over here and they're gonna probably have the dog destroyed if you don't give me the fucking papers." So they finally give me the papers, and all of a sudden they want to get high. So I catch them a buzz, and we sit and bullshit for a while, and things are cool. Kevin's at home healing, and I got the papers, so everything's cool. So I pedal my bike all the way up the hill, and I walk in the house to give them to my mom and dad, and I said, "Here's the papers." And my dad looks at me, and he looks to me like he is fucking pissed. He gives that look that you never want to see your dad give you. And I said, "What's going on?" And he said, "Pack up your fucking shit and get your wife and your kids and your dog and get the fuck out of my house and don't come back. You got till Monday." Because it was on a Friday when this happened. And I said, "What are you guys talking about? Why are you so fucking mad? What's going on?" And then mom chimes in and says, "While you were gone, I called the police and the police came up here." And I said, "Yeah, and what happened?" My mom said that she told the officer what happened, and the officer asked me, "Where is your son right now?" And my mom said that I was down at Ron's house right now getting the papers. And then the officer said, "Oh, he's down at Ron's house." She goes, "Yeah." And he says, "Oh, they won't be back for a while. They're probably off getting high somewhere." And then my mom said, "Excuse me, do you know my son?" And then the officer said, "Oh, yeah, everybody knows your son. He's been riding his bike up and down these streets for years selling drugs and whatever else he can get his hands on." And then he said, "What your son needs is treatment before his children end up in foster care. And I'll give him a ride there if he needs one." And when she was telling me this, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My first reaction was, of course, to lie. And I said, "He said what? And you believed him?" Then my dad looked at me and said, "Well, why in the fuck wouldn't we believe him? He's a cop." Which I replied something else that was even more stupid. I said, "He's just a fucking asshole and he's trying to get me in trouble." But they weren't buying it. He just looked at me and said, "You have till Monday. Get your shit and get the fuck out of here." So now I had to go downstairs and break the news to my wife, and she was just about fed up with everything too. And she was all worried about where we were going to end up or where we were going. And so I had an idea. I got a little plastic cup. I told her to have Kevin piss in the cup, and I'll be right back. So I jumped on my bike and I coasted down the hill after I snuck out the house real quietly. I went to the drugstore and I bought a drug test and I pedaled back up the hill. Then I got a pair of whitey tighties on and a pair of boxer shorts over the whitey tighties, and then you know them little rubber squeeze bulbs you have for infants to get snot out of their nose? I grabbed one that we had in the cupboard and I sucked the clean piss into it and I put it in my whitey tighties and I went upstairs. And my dad said, "What the hell are you doing?" Because I had on my boxer shorts. So I give him the box. I said, "Right here is a drug test." I gave it to him. I said, "Read it." I said, "I'm going into the bathroom. I'm going to piss in this cup and I'm going to prove to you that I'm not on drugs and that the cops are full of shit." So I pissed in the cup. I gave it to my dad and we tested it, and all the panels came out negative. The look on my dad's face changed from anger to relief, and just like a light switch, Both him and my mom were on my side again, and now my parents hated cops too. Everything was back to normal. There was no cop going to drive me to any treatment, or my kids weren't going to foster care. And for the next 8 years, I went on a tear and became one of the biggest dealers in my town. From that point on, it was me against the cops, and that's all that mattered, because I was pissed off because what the cops did that afternoon was totally wrong in my eyes. And my mother and my father could have had a heart attack, or at least this is what I was. This is how I was justifying it. And like I said, I was just plain pissed off, and I went on a tear in the community all the way up until August 2017 when I got raided and busted. But that is a tale for another time. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you did, leave a like. If you want to hear more, subscribe, leave a comment, or ask me questions. Peace.